وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله. Alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah. Our gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having able us to be here tonight on this very blessed Thursday evening in a state of good health and iman. Yeah. Sometimes when the year is ending, it presents the whole year problem in just 1 month lah. Sometimes it's like that, So it's a time for us to be more, one whole year, okay, sedap. Then when the year ends, say, okay, this is how you're going to remember me. Test you. So for muridins, it's very important that we enter the new year with very important zikir of la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah alil azim. Very, very important. To do the zikir a lot. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah alil azim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah alil azim. Remember the verse, ala inna awliya Allah khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. These are all some of the verses we should live this year with as a remembrance. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to live this year and not bring all of its negativity to the next year, inshallah, but bring only the goodness, inshallah, and that next year 2022 will be more better, inshallah. Okay, so stories from the Shaykh again, stories of the Khanqah. So the Shaykh begins by saying, the Khanqah is a place where one suddenly becomes conscious. The Khanqah, or the Hanaqah, he says here, is the place where one suddenly becomes conscious of the senselessness of the stream of words that fell from one's mouth before. So, before entering the Khanqah, maybe we were all having a lot of speech. People say, what? Word diarrhea? Speech diarrhea. We never stop talking. Verbal diarrhea. Gitu. And then when you enter the Khanqah, what is supposed to arise is, alamak, I've been talking so much. If that doesn't happen, that means we're not aware of where we are at. Of stream of words that fell from one's mouth before. Slowly, that water begins to flow into sand, and the scalding of sand of the desert, which can never be filled with words. Beautiful. Which means, when you understand that it's not about talking anymore, the Khanqah is not about talking, then the scalding of sand of the desert, which can never be filled with words. So no matter how much water you put at the heat of the desert, it can never be enough. Which means no matter how much you use your saliva to experience the beauty of the Ahli Zikr in Khanqah and the Ahli Silsila, it will never be enough. Because it is not a place of dunya. It is not a place of dunya. Of course, we run things administratively, but you cannot institutionalize it. It's two different things. There is administration, how to come in, how to check in, what mask to put, all this hand sanitize, take care, who washes the bathroom, etc. So other people can benefit. But this is not a place to institutionalize the thing. The Khanqah has its own spirit that cannot be put into the place of dunya. The Khanqah is the place where your life slows down, number one. Just, it seems, so that you might grow ashamed of your earlier days. The Khanqah is the place where each word of the Shaykh is a shaving shallow of water amid that very same desert of life. So the desert, when you are in a state with your mashayikh, your brothers and sisters, the muridins, the nasiha that comes out must be giving life. Not nasiha, there's not nasiha. If it doesn't give life, it hurts you, then it is not nasiha. La yanfa. There is no benefit. But this is also a place where we train ourselves. We expect both opposites. Not everybody can be an angel, correct? You get what I'm trying to say, not? Faham lah. Like how, not everybody appear like how they seem in that sense. both ways. Someone that we might look down upon can be good. Someone that we look up upon also might have a different character. May Allah protect us all. And this is insan. So either way, Allah has His best interest for us. Why He put us at that situation. Okay, that's my disclaimer point. Because sometimes we take the message, we only take one-sided. Because this is coming from a book, he goes on and explain. I'm taking some points. Shoulders tremble just perceptibly from silent weeping. There's something to do with the silence today. It is the soul cleansing itself of all that has been blocked up by words. So when we sit down silently and we observe, like the song, like the desert misses the rain, for those who are from my age group, like the desert miss the rain. Do you know that song? Oh, okay, never mind. We'll get there one day. Like the desert miss the rain. Why is the desert the desert? There's no rain. You get what I'm trying to say? Why we are today? Because the water that nourishes us is not there. Ma'u hayat, the water of life. What is this ma'u hayat? None other than ma'rifatullah. So we come here not just to take the zikr water that Murshid blew on and all this. Yeah, it's part of it. But we come to take here the water of life. Sayyidina Khidir alayhi salam was called Khidir because wherever he sat, it would become green. You see? What happened was because while he was a soldier, and once he was a soldier, his name is Baylan ibn Malika. This is one of his names, this continuation of it. He was walking and then he found a fountain. He drank from that fountain and Allah gave him all of the knowledge that he needed. And it is a gift from that fountain that he will live until the end of times. That's why he appears. And they say if you're talking about him, means he is near. So we've been talking about him for the past few weeks now, so maybe he is very near. Inshallah. So when that water, all of things that were blocking us, like the zikr we do, illallah, it is supposed to be an imprint in our heart, and sometimes it's difficult to go in because there's a lot of blockage. And once it comes in, it removes everything of the inner blockages and its outer blockages. Iridescent like inflated balloons that bursting turns into emptiness. Yani, so after their dhikr, after them sitting in silence, they burst. MashaAllah. That means it is not the external power, but it is the internal connection with their mashayikh, the silsila and the asma of Allah, that their own self bursts. Not physically, but their ego bursts. And then they realize their true self. All this is done in silence. That's why in the dunya where there's so much crowding here, so much waswasa here, you cannot experience that. We come to the Khanqah not to experience the nafs, but to experience the hakikat of the self. The Khanqah is a place where a person becomes aware of his sins. That's what the Shaykh says. And then he gives a story. He says, a Shaykh entered a room where two young dervishes were seated. So the Shaykh entered and, two young dervish, katakan, some of you sitting at the yellow box drinking your tea. Greeted everyone and sat down in his usual place where the Shaykh would usually sit. Everyone thought that now a conversation would begin. The murshid come, must berbual lah. That's what they think. As though it's some club lah. Right? They think there must always be a conversation. And glean, everybody thought now a conversation would begin, and glean now and then at their teacher. They would look, how can you never say anything? Tengok lagi. But he was silent. The Sheikh was what? Silent. Lowering his head slightly, and he immersed in contemplation. Yani he did his mushahada, and look at his description. And resemble an eagle carved out of mountain stone. So the Sheikh was like a what? Eagle. Which means what? He did not move. He was pegged and he was firm in his silence. That is the true mushahada, mashallah. At last, he slowly raised his head and said, silence without reflection is hypocrisy with rosary beads in your hands. Better to babble incessantly than remain silent in such a manner. He says, your silence without your mushahada, you keep quiet, not doing mushahada just because the Sheikh is doing mushahada, is what? Hypocrisy. Although you have your tasbih in your hand. He says it's better to talk than to remain silent in a hypocrisy state. MashaAllah. Nowadays, if we say like that, there will be a feedback form that arrives in the email, inshallah. Like that, nowadays. Murshid doesn't speak. 4 star. Murshid speak too much. 2 star. Murshid and Majlis late. 1.5 star. Oh, like that nowadays. Your silence, he said, turning to one of the dervish, is like a fragile sapling in a windless day. Shameful, shy, without confidence. The first little breeze will dislodge your timid leaves, and any external thoughts will destroy your silence. Subhanallah. That's why the Shaykh is like the carved eagle, like an eagle carved out of a mountain. Subhanallah. Your silence, he turning to another dervish, is like a heavy. Is heavy. Your silence is heavy, like autumn water, weighed upon by your wordlessness. A light rock that falls into the bank will disturb the water's smooth surface and leave no trace in the heaviness behind. Means it's very what? Shallow. You cannot even absorb the thing that comes. Be a stone when you contemplate. The stone neither hears nor sees. Subhanallah. That means in your mushahada, you neither do you hear, neither do you see. Nor does it feel itself contemplating. Oh yeah, I'm contemplating now. Register that. Write down. It does not remember that it is a stone. It is part of divine truth. Sometimes when people have a bit too much ideas, but the simplest of challenges can blow everything away. That's why, Mama stores until today still running, Strong stone. Why, I mean, we look at it. There's red mud, there's so many things, right? But you still find every corner one Mama store, inshallah. Maybe it's their mushahada. What is it? It is their affirmation, their confidence in what they do. There are many traits. I'm just listing one that comes to my mind. People who don't have computers, people who don't have the modern day technology, they're still running with what they have, right? We see some stores like this, some traits which are like this. They are not disturbed. That confidence they have for their trade, that same confidence you must have for what? Our suluk, our zikr to Allah. They're not going to budge. I've seen this. You go to Tariqah, I see, because my father is there, right? So I see, some of the stores, they're still running like the way they were 100 years ago, or maybe 50, 60 years ago from their fathers, the way they keep the spices, still running. Having new generation of customers, they still where they are. Allah knows best. And this is where we must, when we are sitting down doing zikr, our trading with Allah is not to gain anything, but is to lose everything that we have with Allah, with ourselves, and to gain Allah's pleasure. So if we understand what the transaction is about, we would give everything to get something from Allah. And that's what coming to the Khanqah is about. The Sufi stopped speaking and sank once more into silence. So the Shaykh stopped speaking and he sank into silence. The beats he had been telling before went stiff in his hands. So instead of doing the tasbih, it stopped. So that it was not at all clear where the beats ended and where his hands began. So, in this time, this is a very important nasiha. In this time where everything is going digital, everything is moving to a certain platform, and we feel left out sometimes. Sometimes we have 1,001 ideas, 1,001 things to do. Having ideas is good, but staying true to your purpose is most important. The ideas come to help your purpose. Your amal is here to help your ma'rifah and your haqiqah. The Khanqah is here to help your journey. That's why it cannot be institutionalized. That's why there is the arm to help. But everybody who comes here comes because of the heart. They are looking for their heart. When we come down and sit down in our zikr, we must be like the Shaykh. Carved, like a shape of an eagle, which means what? The eagle, when it spreads its wing, it is very majestic. And when it swoops down its prey, it can see from far. It doesn't have to make a lot of noise like chickens, or ducks, or different birds that have to sing. But it comes, it takes, and it leaves. It can go as low as it can go, and it can fly as high as it needs to go. That is the contemplation of the Sufi. It can be as low as the lowest servants in this dunya. Work in a simple store. But when it is with Allah, it flies very high, that even those who have all of the dunya cannot chase after him or her. And this is done in the silence of the mushahada. How do we institutionalize this? This, my brothers and sisters, is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. When he is as low as he wants to be, he cries until the place of his sujud is like a puddle of water and his beards are really wet. But when he flies really high, he goes to qabla qawsaini aw adna. This, the person that was carved out of stone, is none other than our Prophet ﷺ. The image that the Shaykh took in this story is none other than the image of confidence that the Prophet has given to all of us. But if we are like the sapling, then even if the wind comes and blows us, we will be gone. As high-tech as we want to be always, until when can we keep up with the chase of dunya? At the end of the day, it is our pens and pencils, and at the end of the day, is the mind and it is the heart. So when we're keeping silence in doing our mushahada, remember the image, that it is like a eagle that is carved out of stone. The world is revolving, changing really fast. a lot of worries, a lot of anxieties. But those in the path of the silsila, once they have their dhikr and their mushahada, they will be where they are supposed to be, and Allah will be with them. And when you know Allah has placed you where you're supposed to be, and you know it is Him, we will be what? Silent. But not the silence like a sapling, but the silence of the eagle carved out of the mountain. My brothers and sisters, dhikr is supposed to give us confidence, not arrogance. Zikr is supposed to give us certainty, not what? Not arrogance. There's a difference. How low, how high we go in our dhikr, we're still a servant of Allah. How close Allah reveals Himself to you, He is still Allah. How weak we think we are, that's when we remember Allah is close with us. When we think strong and highly of ourselves, that's when we understand how mighty Allah is with us. Because if we use this strength wrongly, Allah would what? Allah can debase us. So the Sufi balances this in their life. From La ilaha illallah to illallah to Allahu Allah to Allah until he reaches silence. Then you just become like the eagle waiting when you're supposed to swoop down and when you're supposed to go up, back up. This is the way of the mushahada. May we receive this mushahada, inshaAllah. May our ruh always be attracted to the haqiqah of Muhammadiyah. May this knowledge continue to protect us, our zahir, our batin, our parents, our children, most importantly our teachers and their teachers and their teachers, and that we receive their blessings like how the Prophet ﷺ has blessed over Ahlul Bayt, inshaAllah, under the Muzammil, Ya Allah, like how the Prophet has blessed the people of the Ahlul Bayt in the blanket, and shroud us with them as well. And make our hearts connected through the silsila, Ya Allah, and not make us divided because of our whims and fancies and egos, Ya Allah. Allow us to continue the sunnah of love and mahabbah, Ya Allah, and not allow us to continue the acts of destroying and separation, Ya Allah. Give us clarity, Ya Allah. Do not allow us to be like the sapling, Ya Allah, but allow us to be like the eagle, Ya Allah. Allow us to be always be protected by the great eagle, the white falcon, Sultan Awliya Sheikh Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani, Ya Allah. May his swooping carry us weak ones into the presence of the Divine, Ya Allah, without much of our effort, but because of his blessings and his two great wings, Ya Allah, and his mighty sight of looking at you and you only, Ya Allah. For we fana ourselves into the albaz, the white falcon of Sultanu Awliya Sheikh Abdul Qadir Al-Jilani, Ya Allah. Through the blessings of all of our teachers, Ya Allah, we seek his madad and his assistance, Ya Allah, to give us clarity for ourselves, our family, our jama'ah, Ya Allah, and to end this year with goodness and to begin the next following year with greatness, Ya Allah. To allow us to continue from tariqah to ma'rifah, Ya Allah, and to end with haqiqah deeply rooted in our hearts, Ya Allah. That our hearts only speak of your name and none other, and our mind only sees the vision of your vision of the light, Ya Allah. That we is close in our hearts, Ya Allah. That each time we call out to you, Ya Allah, we don't see a name but we see your light, Ya Allah. Enshroud us in your light and the love of your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Lift us and do not make us travel, Ya Allah, but allow us to be within you and to travel with your light, Ya Allah. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbal. Whatever is good is from Allah and Rasul. If not, it is from my own self, inshaAllah. Just an announcement, inshaAllah. Tomorrow is